but they just wanted to make sure everything's set on my
Sure.
end and your end. So,
Yeah.
and then
All
we'll
right.
get going.
Yep. You guys will be good to go.
Okay.
Hop off
I,
right now.
all right, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, guys. Yeah.
Hey, my guest today is one of my dear friends, Tony Bianco. Tony, how you doing?
I'm great, Jim. I'm just terrific.
You know, I was going to read this here that I have, but it would take probably an hour. You've been the French Connection as Salvatore Boca. We just watched that the other day, my wife and myself again, with Gene Hackman, Roy Scheider. You're at the Honeymoon Killers, the 7-Ups, Blood Brothers with Richard Gere, Paul Sorvino, City Heat with Clint Eastwood, Burt Reynolds, Nixon with Anthony Hopkins, Demi Moore and Alec Baldwin in The Juror, Fist with the one and only Sylvester Stallone and Rod Steiger. Just as you work with Gina Lola Brigida. You appeared in like 100 other films. The Rocky Marciano, I watched that a couple times on TV as the only undefeated heavyweight champion of the world. The miniseries, what was called Origins of the Mafia, Marco Polo, Jesus of Nazareth I watched 100 times. The Last Tenant, Police Story, Law and Order, The Secret Empire. I go on, but it would take an hour to read all of this stuff. And as I called you the other night, we were watching you on the Twilight Zone. I didn't know you were on the Twilight Zone. So what the heck's up, bud? You're awesome, man. How you doing?
I'm just great. Yeah, I'm out here in Maryland, summer home, and I'm able to go outdoors and swing a pick and pick up rocks and make fires and tend the grass and what have you. I love every bit of that.
You're looking great, man. Physically, man, I can't believe it. Geez, I mean, I'm not going to go into how old you are, but geez, you look 20 years younger than you are. It's amazing. So that must be really, the farming business must be really cool for you. So, but man, I miss you. It's been a long time, and it's an honor to have you on here with me, Tony. It's
Thank you,
really,
pal. Thank you. It's always great. You're such a fantastic human being. You do so much for so many people, and especially our wonderful military. You just take care of everybody, and that's what we're all about. That's what we're supposed to be doing in this life that was given to us, and this blessing that was given to us to be born in the United States of America. And you do it very well, and I try as much as I can, and that's our purpose. That's my purpose anyway. I mean, I try to pick people get a different concept of what acting is all about, and everybody has their own explanation of why they do things. And my explanation is to inform people, not only entertain them, of course, that's the way you get to their attention, but to try to deal with subject matters that are important to their lives and that will give them some kind of insight into life, especially when you do Broadway shows and things like that, which I love doing. And also that video that I did, which, I've done 100 films and countless plays, but the one thing that I'm extremely very, very, very proud of is the Just a Common Soldier video.
Oh, beautiful. That was so beautiful, Tony. What did you have, like 40 million views on that thing? It's so
30
awesome.
million, 30 million views, which translates to about 60 million people. And
amazing.
It's a tribute to our military. And I urge anybody who cares about our country and about our military to take a look at that. It's called Just a Common Soldier. You can find it justacommonsoldier.com. You can go to tonylobianco.com and you'll find it, and YouTube and what have you. And it is I'm very, very proud of having done that. We received 2 Emmys and 30 million views. I mean, remarkable,
Absolutely.
especially for that beautiful subject matter,
Absolutely.
You get those numbers if you do rock stuff,
Yeah.
rap crap.
I was going to get into that because I started with the acting stuff, and I was going to get into that, the stuff you did lately. And wow, that Just a Common Soldier thing is just, yeah, everybody has to see that. If you didn't see it, it will be 40 million views, in a little time. Oh my God, that thing's awesome. It's just, and then you're working on something new. I hear maybe we don't want to talk about it yet, or there's something.
Well, it's again, you and I, we have I think we have our heads screwed on right. We care about this country, and we care about our military, and we care about the law and the police. And I'm writing one now for just a common cop, and what they go through, what they do, why they're there. All of this unrest that's been going on in our country. Yes, not only COVID, but this wildness and craziness of destroying the country is ludicrous. And the idea of using the excuse of that one cop who did the wrong thing, to say the least, and actually killed that man. Nobody agrees he was not guilty for doing that. I mean, there isn't one person that I know that is out there to defend him. So we all know that, and he's being tried for murder. So that's the way the law works. Why sometimes when there is a killing of a young little girl and dismembered or whatever horrible thing that happens to this little kid, the people are not outraged that much. They don't. Nobody's rioting. Nobody's protesting. There's so many, kids are getting shot in Chicago all over the place, and nobody's doing anything about it. It's being broadcast now because of the BLM is not, going out there and saying, hey, let me take care of this problem because it's black on black crime. But this one cop that will get his due, and be found guilty of what he's done. I assume. I hate to allege and all those other words that usually PC people like to use. But he will get his punishment. You don't have to rip the city apart. You don't have to want to change the whole country. The purpose of BLM, as stated, I'm not making anything up, is that they want to tear the country down, apart. This is not political. This is what they're talking about. Tearing the country apart, ripping out, get this one, that it's even a discussion. No police and no prisons. That's a discussion. That's not even a discussion. You know what I mean? But that's something that they're talking about on television, like it's a discussion. Everybody knows the result of that.
Yeah, we're going through some
let's not get into that.
Yeah, we're going into some crazy times right now. Hey, and I used to be a policeman when I got laid off from the Steel many years ago, and you played a policeman. So that's why I'm interested in this just a common, what are you going to call it? Just a common cop it's going to be called? So far, I can't wait till you get that together, and that would be really cool. That would be
I just completed it, and in fact, I have not, I read it to you because you're my dear friend, but I have not, given it out to anybody except, close friends for critique and suggestion, blah, blah, blah. I did read it to Commissioner Ray Kelly, former commissioner of New York, a good friend of mine, and he loved it, wanted me to get it out as soon as possible, which is what I really have to do. Also, Paul DiGiacomo, who is the president of the DEA, detectives, and so he loved it. He had tears in his eyes, and so I've been, getting it out to.
I thought it was beautiful when you read it to me over the phone, and I thought it was beautiful. Hey, and you know how you're so intertwined with New York City. My gosh, what was that Broadway play LaGuardia that you did for a few years up there? Man,
yeah,
if he was mayor right now, I don't know.
Oh, boy, yeah. He was the 99th mayor, Fiorello LaGuardia. Yeah. He was the greatest mayor. He was the world's mayor, basically. And, during World War II, even during World War I, he served as a pilot. He became a congressman in 2016 and volunteered right away to go right into to fight World War One, excuse me, and he became a pilot, and only a year. The war only lasted from I think to 1918, and he was only in the service for about a year, and he became a major. In a year, that's a pretty high ranking for 1 year, and then came back and went into Congress again. But he was an honest mayor. I mean, a real honest mayor. Worked very closely with his police department, Louis Valentine, and they created PAL. The police athletic league that helped children and work with the kids in sports and what have you.
Yeah.
And he did amazing things, incredible things in his 3 terms as mayor. Back then, that was unheard of as well. Three-term mayor, but what he did, you cannot imagine. Building of the airports. He designed the one in the Kennedy Airport as well. Didn't live long enough to see it built, but certainly LaGuardia Airport, and went on and on. I mean, I used to be able to remember all the things he did in a short period of time. But anyway, he was a great mayor who really took charge, cared about the people, was there when you needed him, he went after the mob big time. First, as a matter of fact, as soon as he was elected, he said, "Arrest Lucky Luciano." Now, I don't know if even your viewers these days know who Lucky Luciano was. He was
I do.
Big time mobster. Of course you do. But he was a big time mobster. And
you had that you had that one man play LaGuardia. You're still doing that too, right?
I love doing it because it's so filled with history and information. It's fascinating. They talk about the word reform, and it's generally used, especially now during this time. They're talking about police reform. Well, you know what I think? I think the people have to be reformed, because what has happened, we lost respect for almost everything, especially the police department, the police, and the idea, as you've seen in New York, pails of milk were thrown on the cops, and all kinds of terrible things were being done, and the orders were to stand down, not to do anything about it. I mean, you can't make that up. I'm sorry I'm going on so much about the current events of what's going on, but I do believe we're at war, and an eternal war here. So I'm pretty riled up about that.
Well, I can see. My gosh, this is like, that's well, you know what? When you really think about it, I mean, everybody's hunkered down in their home, and we're forced to kind of like live with what's going on here, and before it was, hey, everybody's traveling all over the place, and you weren't up to date with all the daily news and everything else. But now there's nothing else to do but hear the news and see the news every day, and everything that's going on across the country and throughout the world. And it's just, and as we both know, I mean, I'm in my 60s. You're even older than I am, and my gosh, we've been around a long time, and I don't know. Had some great times in our 60s, 70s, 80s growing up. Never seen anything like this. This is insane. I mean, I've been in my home since March. I haven't been out of my. This is crazy. I'm not used to this. I'm the kind of guy, I got to be going all over. This is tough.
Sure.
It's tough.
And in a way that has contributed to the unrest and the getting out there and being confined and cooped up, and that has contributed. But there's certainly no excuse for looting and robbing and ripping and burning things down and nothing. And because it's bigger than that. If you go to Black Lives Matter, you find out, and go to Act Blue, you see where all the money's going, and and they're stated facts. They state themselves that they're a Marxist organization. Well, if it's a Marxist organization, then you have your choice, don't you? So, I mean, they're not shy about what it is, what they say, what they want to do. Well, if you want to do that, vote that way. If you don't, vote the other way. you know.
That's
Anyway.
amazing. Yeah, because I've known you a long time. I never knew you were so up to date politically, man. I never seen this
Well,
part of
you
you.
know,
It's
when things become right in front of your face and threaten your the USA and threaten the way we run a country. I mean, just when you become and you see the things happening before you, the people who are getting elected and are now influencing the country. Uh, you wonder who are these people and who are the people electing them. So you see a country turning away around and going in the opposite direction of a democracy and a capitalism and everything that we stand for and we're built on. And look at that, look at the word disrespect. Look, you know, those founders that they're tearing down statues of the founders, meaning to me, if they were alive, they'd kill them. And the best way they can express themselves is they're tearing down George Washington. They want this disfiguring Abraham Lincoln, Grant. Lincoln Grant were the biggest supporters of non-slavery you can imagine, and they're tearing them down. And George Washington, you're putting American flag on his head and burning it, George Washington, and even a statue that the slaves themselves supported and to build, they tore that down too. I don't understand what's, you know, I do understand what's going on, but it's baffling to the common mind that we, as I'm doing even now, spending time on this. It's almost ridiculous. It's absurd that we should be even, it's not even a discussion, you know, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, what, you know, it should be stopped immediately.
Yeah.
Any rate,
I think what we just need, everybody in this country, like I said, I'm not much of a political person. I'm just all about like love and happiness and positive energy and everything else. And
Sure.
I think that's what the world really needs, you know. And I think it's really like when you played in some of these movies,
Mm-hmm.
like what was it? Salvatore Boca, was that your name in the
And
French
French
Connection? Yeah.
Connection, yeah,
See,
yeah.
and I like, to me that's like watching movies and things like that. It gets you out of this frame of mind of what to. But then at the same time, something has to be done. You know, people have to get together. We need to get. Everybody has to get together. Again,
like,
I'm not. I don't pick sides on anything. Everybody should just get together. It should be about peace. I know people don't want to hear peace, love, and all this stuff, but hey, that's all it's about. It's positive energy. I find out Tony, let me tell you something. The more positive I am every day, the better my next day is. I don't know. That's just the kind of guy I am. I'm all about positive thinking, positive energy, love, peace. I mean, I have a blast with my grandkids and my wife and everything else. Why can't everybody just be like that? Why can't everybody just be happy? And I don't know. It's just a crazy world we live in right now. And then this virus didn't make it any better. It just,
sure,
by being cooped up in the homes, people have nothing more it just builds
you
up
know,
all that negative
Jim,
energy.
you speak ideal. I would love everything you said. Everything, I couldn't agree with you more. But that's not what's in our face.
Yeah,
you know,
I know.
And obviously that's utopia and should be normal. What you're talking about, I'm all for that. But what we're being presented with is revolution. A feel of revolution because of turning the country upside down, turning it inside out. Yeah, but unfortunately, that's where we're at, and I don't know who's a spokesperson for the other side. I don't know who that is. Who's the big healer for either side? Actually, for either side, where's the big healer? You know, you can't even talk reason and common sense. So those two things seem to be out of the conversation. So it's all about political power, obviously.
Yeah, we need what the country needs right now is that person to step up and give everybody this hope that everything's going to be taken care of here, and all this civil unrest and everything is going to be taken care of. I mean, I don't like it. I mean, I want everybody to get along. I get along with everybody. I don't,
Sure.
I don't know why It has to be like it is. But like I said, it's I don't know where it's going, and I'm just hoping people step up and try to resolve this in a good way instead of the way it
Yeah.
looks like it's heading. The one thing you don't want to do is, hey, this person arms and that person arms up, and next one that doesn't go. It's not going to get
Well, that's
anywhere.
where we're at. That's where we're at.
Not going to get anywhere that way.
Unfortunately, more guns are being bought to protect themselves against this. That's where it's at, unfortunately.
And it's a weird situation, because you can't blame the person for wanting to do that to protect their family, but at the same time, there has to be another solution, and somebody has to step up. I'm talking nationally and just take this thing and say, hey, this is what people need hope, especially like listeners of this and stuff like that. We have wounded warriors, as you know, with suffering from PTSD, whatever, however you want to describe it. And they're alone right now, and they're hearing all of the media. And people need hope. You don't need more. I hate violence, man. I really do. We it's all right to watch it in movies and everything else, but in real life, I'm not. I don't even.
Yeah.
I can't even believe I'm talking about this stuff. I don't usually go here. I never talk about this. It's really, I try to be as positive and send across a positive message of hope and love and everything else. And this, what's going on. I don't know if you could defeat it with love. I think you have, sometimes.
It's a tremendous, Jim. It's just a different ideology. Very difficult to change an ideology. And that's what we're up against. The words don't mean anything anymore from either side. That's a real problem. It says a hatred. There's a strong, strong hatred out here for authority, and of any kind. And nobody seems to believe the other person for when they speak, and know that they have political reasons for their disagreement. It has nothing to do with reality. It has to do with the future, of taking power in November, and that's where it's at. That's what the biggest problem is. And I wish there were a way of some in between normal human being that was able to talk to both sides. But apparently from history, what we're going through now, I don't see that person. I don't see that person because it's not believed on either side. This is crazy.
Yeah,
we're dealing with insanity,
I have a lot of people. Whether my political preference, I have people that are complete opposite of me, and I get along with them really well. There's a way to resolve issues and problems without the violence. That's because that's not a solution. Once one person gets violent, the other one gets more violent, and before you know there's no solution there. You have to resolve the problem and the issues in a I don't know. It just really upset. It upsets me because that's not what I'm about. I'm about helping people with their brain disorders and things like that. And this stuff interferes. This causes more brain disorders, and it causes people to be scared and everything else. And especially the people that are alone. I'm trying to put positive things in their mind and get them to buy, like what I do. When I get in a bad mood or a negative mood, I get out of it with positive results, and I'll go down and lift weights. I'll study some. I don't know. This is crazy, Tony, what's going on, but so hopefully we have these people step up and resolve all of this and get along. Everybody's just so apart right now, and you're never going to come up with a solution if you're apart.
We seem to be divided on every issue. Yeah. If people go back to school, it always has to be the other half. Doesn't
I know.
One half wants to go back to school. The other half does. Whatever it is, excuse me, it's a total divide.
Yeah.
Tim Scott, the black senator, made a speech about reform, and he wanted to talk about reform. Well, in a brilliant speech, they wouldn't even bring it up for discussion. The subject matter they want, you see, the other side wants. Well, he brought it up. They wouldn't even discuss about it, and he gave into compensations and what they wanted, and they still didn't want it. It's all about not having a victory so that they can win in November. I mean, that's what it came down to. They wouldn't do it. So I'm trying. I hate to keep talking about everything I speak about. It sounds negative, but in fact, the matter is those are the facts. I'm talking about what the facts are. I'm not making anything up, and I'm just saying this is what's going on. This is what's happening, and the reason why it's happening is because of political change. And one side wants political change, the other side doesn't. One side wants to overthrow the government, the country altogether. The other side doesn't want. It's baffling. It's truly baffling. And the fact that we allowed it to get to this point is the biggest problem of all.
Well, let me ask you something. Like I said, I never go here. I never talk about this because I'm about a different thing. But since we're talking about it, what is the solution? What is the beginning of a solution?
I wish I knew. I've always talked about this. This was coming, and for years now I've been speaking about this happening and coming, and the idea of taking care of it early, was not paid attention to. And here we are at a place which seems so obvious of one side, taking one side or the other, so obvious that what's obvious is that there's no solution at this moment. That seems to be the only obvious thing, because there's no indication that there's belief on either side. There's no reason. There's no common sense. There's no facts that are believed. No truth that's believed. I mean, it's astounding. That we got to this point. I'm sorry. Let's get off this subject.
I know. I don't even
get off the subject because I'm changing your show.
Yeah, I'll be a political podcast. I don't want to.
I'm sorry.
I'll be honest with you. I would love to have. I'm not saying I'm the guy that could, but if I would have 3 people from one side and 3 people from the other side in a room with me, I'll bet you I would change things a little bit with the way I deal with people with the brain. I just know it.
Yeah.
And because I could see both sides, I could see, I could put myself in that position. I've been in that position, for God's sakes. I've been, I worked at a steel mill. I got laid. I've seen a lot of different things in life. I've been in the pits of. I've grown up. Oh man, I don't even want to get into it here. You're getting something out of me now that I don't want people to know about. But yeah, I could see both sides, and I could see. But I know that to resolve it, there are better ways to resolve this than what we're doing right now. It's just gonna get worse, and I don't want to see that happen. I mean, I have a lot of friends on both sides here, and I'm like right in the middle. I could, I've always been that way, a middle of the road guy, even with presidential elections. I always voted for the best person. I didn't vote right. I voted for the best person who I thought was the best person. Yeah.
You see, when we get into situations where we're now judging things by, well, we need a black president, or we need a black vice president, or that's wrong. We don't need a black, we don't need a white, we don't need an Italian, we don't need a Jew, we don't need anything except the right, smartest person. So when you start going into things like what I just said, you're already being prejudiced, by saying, well, you don't need any of those things. All you need is the right person, regardless of
I kind of agree with you, because when I look at your brain and your heart, I mean, there is no Democrat, Republican. There is no black, white. There's no, hey, you know what I mean? I look at your brain and the heart that you have, and And that's what I'm all about. I've always been that way, and even now more than ever that I study the brain,
Sure.
and what's going on is very, very sad right now. And but yeah, I don't believe we're even talking about this.
Yeah, but you see, unfortunately, it is infiltrated everything,
Yes, yes,
including the Academy Awards.
yeah.
Do you know what their criteria now is? The Academy Awards.
No.
Yes, the criteria now is doesn't matter about the movie, the quality of the movie or the acting. It's how many blacks you have in the movie. Do you understand? We've lost our minds. You know what I mean? How many blacks are in the movie? How many minorities in the movie? What? Where are we? What does that have to do with art? What does that have to do with the presentation of a character or of a message and so on and so forth? But that's whether now the Academy you qualify if you have so many minorities in your movie. Well, have we lost our minds altogether?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you make that up? And now they're thinking of playing the Black national anthem at sports events. What about Polish national anthem, the Italian national anthem, is the Mexican national? What do you mean? I don't understand. Are we Americans or not? Are we the national anthem is the national anthem for the USA? But you see, I'm not making these things up, folks. This is what they're considering. This is what is going on. And the ball players now and the basketball players can write sayings on the back of their uniform. Like I can't breathe or, defund the police.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're so out of hand. We're so out of hand now. Look who's anyway. The deeper we go into this, the more information I will. I'm not. Listen, I have no. It sounds like I'm just telling you what's going on. It sounds. You make up your own mind which side you're on, or what do you support, what don't you support. I'm talking about your viewers. This is what they want to do. This is what's happening. Let's talk acting.
Well, that's what this is supposed to be about. Like I said, I like your career is amazing. I mean, it's just like I said that, and then the stuff that when you did the Common Soldier thing and read that poem, and yeah, that's to me that's what I like to talk about. This takes me off of my game here. There's nothing. I'm not an expert in this. I'm not a politician. I'm not an expert in this at all. I mean, what I take pride in is knowing how the brain works with memory and how it affects your health and everything else.
So you're greatly needed now, my friend.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And with everybody isolated like this, I'm trying to come up with ways to help them get that negative energy out of their brain, and fill it with more, fill that void with positive energy. And then when you get talking into things like politics and stuff like that, you can't help but steer toward the negative direction when you talk politically, and that's why.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm not even, I don't even feel like I'm talking politics. I'm talking about reality of what is happening, what has happened to the country, slowly what's happening, and now it's come to fruition. This is where we're at. And
maybe that's what we need. Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need all of this to happen right now, and let's get it all out in the open. And maybe these people will step up and resolve this issue in a hopefully a peaceful, positive way. And maybe it's good that it's happening. I always try to find the positive in things, Tony. Maybe this is a good thing. This is happening. I don't know. Like I said, I really don't know what's going on. I should research it more and
yeah.
But
Anyway.
I'm just all about helping, people. But right now, this is helping people too. You know what I mean? You gotta with this situation is there are people getting hurt and injured and dying on both sides in the streets, and we don't want that, and it shouldn't be happening.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
But yeah. So hey, someone and you. you worked at Police Story, for God's sake. So yeah, you kind of like played a police officer, and now you're, it's amazing how life works like that. It's just really. And then you also played Salvatore Boca, which is the other side of
The other side.
So
Well,
you
that,
played both sides,
Well, sure. But that's my research. And when on both sides of the aisle, I know both sides of the aisle very well, very well. My dearest friend was Sonny Grasso, who was the fellow who story, he and Eddie Egan, was the French Connection and 7-Ups.
Yeah, that was a true story, the French Connection. Tell everybody. Yeah, that was definitely based on a true story.
Absolutely true story, yeah. The biggest bust of drugs up to that date. And both Sonny Grasso and Eddie Egan broke that case. And so I hung out with them, and I went on many cases with them. When I in New York City. In fact, I was the first night I went out with them on calls. The first night we went to a abandoned building in Harlem, and as we were going up the stairs to a reported murder on the top floor, there was a fellow sitting on the steps with a needle in his arm, with the bubble just about to burst, knocked out. As we passed by him, Sonny just pulled the needle out and threw it on the ground and saved this guy's life just in passing. And as we went on up to this the top of the roof, which was of course blown away by weather, it was an abandoned building, we were going back to see this cop who was guarding a dead body. This is opening. This is close. This is my first adventure of that one night, guarding this body who was shot in the back. And this cop, black cop, as a matter of fact, his brother, who was also a cop, was killed the week before by the Black Panthers. Now we left that scene, and then we got called to another one, and in an alleyway, we found a woman who was shot in the back in an alley. This is all in one night, shot in the back. And as we were looking at that situation, some guy jumped off a roof to his death. This is in Harlem, all in one night. All my first night out with them, and killed himself. It's like a war zone, you see. And all that information, I've been on everything you could imagine, stick-ups,
wow,
drug busts.
What year was that?
Well, before French Connection.
Yeah.
The 70s.
And you're originally from that area, Brooklyn, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So
and the mob guys, they loved what I did when I played my mob characters. So they would, if I was at a casino or Atlantic City.
You're still scary looking, man. Everything when I look at you right now, you were like the one of the, you were before Al Pacino and Robert De Niro starred there. You were before The Godfather. And
I was. Yeah,
you're like the original guy.
I was the original guy.
My gosh. You still got that look though, even at, well, how old are you? You're 80,
going to be 84 in October.
And you still got that. Don't screw it with me look, man. It's like really cool. It's like,
yeah.
Give me that look, Tony. Let me see that look. Go ahead, give me that look. Let me see that. Don't give me that look.
Which one?
don't screw with me look. Like
what?
Like don't mess with me look. I like that. Yeah.
It's funny. My wife put on a television show last night, Murder, She Wrote, that I didn't even remember I was in. And so I was in this thing called Proof in the Pudding, silly show, but. And there were scenes I was doing with John Saxon, whose real name is Carmine Enrico, from Brooklyn, went to New Utrecht High School in Brooklyn. But we had a scene here that I barely remembered being in, and I at the end of it, I get shot. I didn't even remember getting shot in the movie. That's funny. It's funny, but it's funny, because when I watch myself, I'm always looking for improvement. you know. And when I watch myself with a film, I look to see, you know, how I could have done it better or how I could fix it and so on and so forth. Now it's too late, but it's a learning process for the next time. And it's all alert. To me, that's what life is all about. Life is a learning process to not to make the mistakes, to aiming to perfection, which of course we never achieve, but that's what's the fun about it, you know. That's what's fun about life is it keeps you going, but you got to keep moving forward in terms of getting it right, fixing it. And as a director, that's what I do all the time. I look behind the lines, not what they're saying, but what they mean by it underneath.
Yeah, and you directed a bunch of films, and you produced a lot of film. That's right. We didn't talk about that. You were a director, a producer, and hey, let me ask you. I have to ask you. I never asked you this. Like, out of all the fictitious characters you played, which one did you like the most? Was it Sal from French Connect? Who was it? What was your best role you played?
Well,
you played probably 100 different names. Like, which one do you remember? Which stands out? Like, did anybody ever, like back in the 70s when the French Connection was out, did anybody go, "Hey, Sal"? Did anybody ever actually call you Salvatore?
Sure.
Yeah.
It happens quite a bit. And what compliment most times is they remember my lines. You know, the lines that I utter in the movie. Some of them are mine, but they remember those lines. You know, and it's funny. You know, sometimes I will, when I form a character, and there is a tribute that I play. It's a tribute to either a friend, relative, or a family member in either a line reading or a gesture or some kind of motion that is relevant to that person, and that person generally can pick it up, you know. As a matter of fact, one time I did a play for the late Larry Cohen called, oh boy, this is a long time ago, Nature of the Crime. Wow, did I remember that?
Wow.
Way back in the 60s. And I based the character on a poker playing buddy of mine, and formed that character, and he came to the show and said, "Oh my God, that's me, because of the characteristics that he was doing, the things that he, you know, bits and pieces of creation. That's why my life is observation. I'm always watching to see what is behind what's going on, and understanding what's going to happen in the future from history. And history is the greatest teacher of all. That's why I'm a little dumbfounded how we've gone through this life and many lives with the seeing what kind of different governments fail or political stuff happens, and you're supposed to now see what fail, what not stay away from. But now we are seen to be approaching a failed idea of what kind of government they want to take over. But anyway, I'm back to that again. But
well, you've been around. Hey, look at. Let me tell you something. You have the right to talk about that. I mean, you've been around. You're 83 years old, for God's sakes. You've seen it happen. I mean, people should look at. You'd be one of those guys that I'd want in the room to represent your ideas and your thought. You know what I mean? It would be amazing. That's the way you resolve things, and you get everybody. You just talk it out, and like look at. There's another. What did you talking about? Did you ever work with Robert De Niro?
You know, we had an opportunity. Yeah. We did a play. Excuse me. I was doing a play at the time. Yanks 3, Detroit nothing, top of the 7th.
I remember that. Yeah.
I played a Yankee baseball player, a pitcher on the mound, practically a monologue. The show was amazing. But at that time, Mike Nichols, the great Mike Nichols, director, was doing a movie called Bogart Slept Here. And Neil Simon, the great Neil Simon, was the writer of the script. 20th Century Fox was producing it. And they asked me to come on and do it. And Robert De Niro was starring in it with Marsha Mason, which at the time was Neil Simon's wife, the author. And so I took a week off from the play, went out to California for the week of rehearsal and so on. And lo and behold, they fired De Niro. They fired him. I don't know truly what the reason was, but I know that Neil was having problems with the scene that he wrote that put his wife in bed with the other character, which De Niro was playing, and he could not stand it. I don't know what the heck that was all about, but they didn't think he was funny, blah, blah, blah. They fired him, and that was the end of that movie. It was about $2 million down the drain because they had already shot some scenes and so on and so forth. And I was to play De Niro's brother. To answer your question.
Well, see now, to me, now this is just my opinion. I would love to get you and him in a room, and I think we could resolve a lot of problems politically right there with the two. If you two guys could get along in a room, then the whole country should be able to get along. Because
but we do get along. It's funny.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Yeah.
When we see each other, we have great deal of mutual respect for each other. That's a good start.
See, yeah, and you both have two opposite views of the country right now. So if you could get along, then everybody should be able to get along. That's the way I would resolve it if I was the guy that had to try to help resolve this. I'd get people like you guys together and have a talk, and it's just amazing how it works. Like, hey, you're a member of the Italian American National Hall of Fame, right? Tell me about that. What exactly, like, who else is in that, and tell me about that.
It's something I don't pay much attention to.
Really?
Unfortunately,
I think that'd be like an honor, man. To be
it is an
member.
honor. It is an honor, but I don't dwell on it. The honors, basically, and I don't really know. I just know they put me in there for.
You got so many awards, Tony. I don't, man. I can't even. When I was looking at your list on the IMDb database, like I've never. That's amazing what you've accomplished in your career. It's just amazing. But you're such a cool guy too. People got to know. Sure, you have a right being 83 years old, and you've seen it all. You've seen I don't know how many presidents you've lived through, because I've seen. I think my president was Eisenhower when I was born, so I've lived through a lot of presidents. You lived through more than I did. And you.
Yeah, my first voting was Kennedy.
Really?
I probably
that was your first voting president. How about in your life, like when you were a little kid? Who was the president? Do you remember?
Yeah, Roosevelt.
Wow.
During I was born in '36.
Wow.
So there's a lot of carryings on because who the heck remembers? I just remember one time when my father was very sad, and I said to him, "What's the matter, Dad?" He said, "A great man died today," and it was LaGuardia.
Yeah.
And how about that? That many. I was a kid. I must have been, I don't know, quite young. And then I wind up playing the life of LaGuardia.
I know. He was a great mayor, and you did a great job with that. I mean, that's when I think the first how long I know you. I forgot where we met. It was somewhere in New York, and I know shortly afterwards you were doing the LaGuardia thing. So it was a while ago, because you've been doing that a while.
Was it our great friend Bill Chatfield?
Yeah, Bill Chatfield. That's who it was. Yeah, we met in New York with Bill Chat, the one and only, the honorable Bill Chatfield.
Absolutely.
He actually worked with the Reagan administration or something.
Yeah,
he was. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
I think that's where we met. It was down somewhere where we were at a table, around a table. Yeah, and I believe that's when you were doing some
at a restaurant. Yeah, in New York somewhere, or outside of New York, somewhere down there. Chatfield introduced.
Yeah.
Us and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know you from these movies. But hey, I think that's the solution. Tony Lobianco, Robert De Niro. That's a start. Then get two other guys in a different realm, maybe two athletes that disagree, two politicians that. That's what we got to resolve this, and we got to resolve it in a peaceful way because we're all here for the same reason. You know what I mean?
Right.
Nobody's different from anybody. We're all the same. All right. We all have a brain. We all have a heart, and it's all the same. And that's the way I look at things. And it could be worked out. And it's just,
I'm with you, pal. I'm with you. I'd love to get some kind of a solution to this. We're heading in the unfortunately wrong direction. But
and we don't want that. Neither one of us do, and we don't want it for our kids or grandkids and everything else. We want everybody to get along, and you're never going to have a 100%. There's always going to be bad characters and evil out here. You can't.
Absolutely.
It's not a perfect life. We're just humans, but at the same time, the majority should be able to get along, and it starts with you and Robert De Niro. I'm telling you, that's the answer. That is the answer, folks. Robert De Niro and Tony Lobianco in the same room. That would be really cool. That would be Tony. You're awesome, man. It's a pleasure. I can't wait to see you again. Hopefully, this COVID stuff ends soon, and I come down and visit you and your beautiful wife, Elise, and the farm. It's just amazing.
We'd love you to have you, my friend. Please.
No, you're awesome.
Even we're very safe and isolated here, and it's very safe to come here during this terrible time, with the COVID, so on. So, and whenever you're free, please let us know. We're here. I've been here since March 18th, actually.
Wow. So you've been isolated
back
as
to
well.
New York City. Yeah.
So New York, anytime soon or not? No more again? You done?
Please, I don't know what the heck is going on there. It's one thing after another. I mean, the COVID is enraged, and the other violence is enraged. The shootings and the killings, and taking away 600 taking away 600 detectives undercover guys, and then cutting $1 billion from the police budget. I mean, come on. Yeah. No prisons and no police.
Hey, that's the last time. Didn't I see you up there too? You live like right at the edge of Central Park in an apartment. You were in an apartment up there? I came up and visited you.
Right across in Central
Park. Who was the young guy with you there? There was a young guy with you at the time.
Chris.
And he's doing very well right now too, as well. He's doing pretty good with his dinners and things like that.
Yes.
You're awesome, Tony, man. It's an honor to know you and everything else. And let's we got to get Robert De Niro and you together. And if you guys could hash things out, anybody can. It's like really, no, I believe in that. I believe things could be hashed out without both of you putting on gloves and fighting it out. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You're awesome, buddy. Tony, thank you so much for being with me today. And it's a pleasure. Tony Lobianco, everybody. Unbelievable.
God bless you. God bless you, my dear friend. Love you.
God bless the troops, baby, and our veterans. That's the main thing. That's what.
Absolutely.
That's what we're both.
If you get a chance, please show it. There's a way of showing it on your show, or certainly people go to watch it. Just a comment.
That's a great idea. I'm going to put Just a Common Soldier right on the website. That would be. I'll put a link right there. That would be really great. Yeah, get more people to see that, Tony.
Sure.
All right, bud. Thank you.
All right, pal. God bless you, huh?
You too, bud.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're done with the podcast, but wow, you took me to a place where I never thought you were going to take me. You son of a gun, you.
Are your producers going crazy?
I don't know. I didn't ask him yet.
Hey, you guys, it's Jim's podcast. You guys do. It was good though. It was good.
No, all very relevant stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And
if there's anything in particular you said that you might think, oops, just let me know that you didn't want to say.
Let me know. Yeah, let us know in the next.
Because we were going to a place there where it needs something needs to be done. I don't know, and I really mean that. You and Robert De Niro got complete opposite end of the spectrum views on politics right now, and that's why I was going there with that thing. I don't know. I try to always make things as calm and peaceful and positive as possible. I don't know, but you were tough trying to get you in that direction. You're a scary guy, though. These guys don't know your background.
Yeah, I
do.
wouldn't mess
See,
with you, Tony.
Yeah. Nope.
I told my son Justin that I'm having a thing today, and he goes, "Dad, could you send me the interview?" So I got to talk to you about that, Ryan. My son Justin loves Tony. If we could send him both of these things, that would be
I
great.
can send it to him.
Yeah.
I can add it to him via email right now. So
I would love a copy. Can you?
yeah, that would be. I could get. It would just be the raw version, not edited yet. If that,
Sure.
sure.
Oh,
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
I can throw it right after this. I'll just add your email.
Yeah, that way, if he sends you the raw version, Tony, and if there's something in there like, maybe I should have not said that, they'll cut that right out. So if you want to look at it and let them know,
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah, because we did get into we got into the moment where I wasn't looking at notes. We got into stuff that we talk about on the phone, but I didn't think it would come up on here.
I know.
At the same time, I do want to take care of business.
Myself, but, because it's what's important.
Oh,
it's
of
what's
course.
happening now, and in reality, is seemed to be. I just don't know. We're in twilight zone, We're in a twilight zone. When you say things like "take away the police,"
no, and you have all the right because you're a Brooklyn guy, and you're 83. Man, you have all the rights in the world.
I mean, even forget it. That's even coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
You understand? I mean, who would take away the police, and who would take away prisons, and who would let all the prisoners out?
I know that is kind of a little bit.
Who would do that? What
these guys here?
What
This is
reasonable person could think that that's a possibility?
Well, how old are you, Ryan? 21.
Yeah.
And how old are you? 20.
I'm 22.
Yeah. So these
So
are
what
the
do you
kind of
guys
guys that
think?
they live outside of New
Well,
York.
It's funny. My grandfather turned 87 yesterday, and he was born in Newark, and grew up there, and he was saying this, very similar things to me yesterday when I was on the phone with him, wishing him happy birthday. He's like, kind of who's here to bring this together, right? It's like nobody, like you guys said, it's really there's nobody, there's no like one figure that people are like, all right, this is gonna
and you guys, both
that.
you guys, I have grandchildren older than you. I mean, I've got a 23-year-old granddaughter and a 20-year-old, I guess. But anyway, what are you guys being taught? What you went now in terms of your college and your schools, the ratio of professors, of a liberal professor to a Republican, are like, well, it's going to be close to 50-1.
Yeah, it is.
So
it depends on this. I mean, it depends on the school too, for sure. But
yeah.
I mean, they're most of the time they're good about keeping that out of it. Most of the time they're good. You're going to have some that aren't. But in my experience, I don't know about Brandon, but 4 or 5 years in college, like they're pretty good about just kind of teaching what they got to teach. Obviously, sometimes it comes up, but
that's a good question, Ryan and Brandon. So how much of your, like you just said, your grandfather, Ryan, how much of that controls your decisions over your professors that you have in college?
My professors don't control anything. I'm just there to get a grade.
Well, okay. All right.
Yeah. I respect them.
Yeah. I attended a school up in North Jersey, Madison, New Jersey, and I would definitely admit it was definitely a liberal education. But I would say at even age 18, coming out of high school, I was able to, think for myself. I had my own ideas, and I had my parents and my grandparents, they raised me right. So, I knew what I knew even before I went into college. So it definitely had it gave me perspective, but I wouldn't say it influenced me or changed me, So.
Well, that's good. That's good because it changes a lot of people, and that's what needs to be done. You need Tony, a guy like Tony Bianco and Robert De Niro. Then you need kids like you, 21, 22, that are extremely liberal, and kids are in the right, and you have like a guy like me in the middle, and get this all out, and that's how you begin to.
Because the conversation, you're right. It starts with the conversation.
Yeah.
So
instead of you just putting guns on and fighting your young guys and Tony and Robert,
I don't even have
one.
one.
You know what I mean? It's crazy out here, and that's what Tony's trying to get at. Somebody needs to.
No, it's true,
up.
but there isn't a figure. There really isn't. At least not for everybody. Maybe for certain age brackets, but it's crazy.
We had, I wish there were somebody like Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Martin, if there were another Martin Luther King,
yeah, he was
that-
right there.
that
Yeah.
could lead a movement in peace, you know, and then have a voice. There isn't that. That human being is not around. They're starting to put their arms around Louis Farrakhan.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy, he's not a good man.
I mean, that's
So.
what the left is trying to put their arms around. That kind of listen. There were big four or five actresses, big Hollywood actresses, who said, "What a wonderful man! Wow, we agreed." I mean, here he is. This guy's an out and out anti-Semite and what have you. Everything else, and again, I'm not. He said that. That's just what the words he spoke. But apparently he's reached for.
That's what you need, Tony. You need people in the middle, like somebody way more famous than me, like Joe Rogan. He's a middle guy too, I think.
Yeah,
and you
he
need
is
people
pretty
like
middle.
us in the middle, people in the far right, people in the far left, and just duke it out. Literally duke it out, and that's the way you get things done. I mean, some of the stuff I see going on, it's just ridiculous. And you guys are going to be the ones suffering. You young guys, 21, 22. This is not going to be a good world if it keeps going like this. And you know, I'm over the hill. I can't. You know, I have a
This
nice
is not
place
about
here.
me.
Yeah,
This is nothing. This had nothing, zero to do with me.
Yeah, me
You
neither.
know, because I'm going to be out of here. You know, in certain.
Yeah, we're not going to last 25 years. Neither one of us.
Yeah. I've only promised my wife to 100, so I've got just a certain amount of years left. But you guys, and so my discussion or view of it has basically nothing to do with me. It has to do with the future. It has to do with the idea of this country, how it was born.
And you could tell, you could see your passion that you really care about this. And
Yeah,
you should have almost ran for Congress or something, man. You should have got in there and straightened some of these guys out, Tony. That's what needs to be done. Some of these congressmen need. I feel like running. I mean, I may do it. That's why I want to do the podcast, get a little more notoriety going, and then maybe run for Congress and at least be a voice in there. But that's what they need to be. You know, some of these guys, I'm not going to mention names because I'm not political, but some of these guys need to be straightened out. They need to be straightened out. And it's a guy like you that they'll respect you. And
but I want to let me just say one thing to the boys.
Yeah,
you guys. I have a tremendous amount of respect for you two boys because of the fact that you're putting this great man on as the producers of this great human being, Jim. And I want to thank you for that. Really, truly, you guys deserve a lot of applause for that, and also for your business mind. And
thank you. I appreciate you saying
Thank
that,
you.
Tony. Really,
Yes.
It means a lot. It does mean a lot.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate
It's really
it.
our honor too.
And we appreciate Jim. I mean, we wouldn't be here without him too. So it's
But we didn't even get into talking about what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about Elaine Rogers. I want to talk about. We just went off on the politics of today, but you can't help it. You know, you're locked up.
It all brings back to reality. You know.
And we could have that on, and we just have to make it look good and make it that neither one of us look bad as we were talking, and we'll figure that out how to do that. And that's why it's very important to get Tony a copy of that, and we'll figure this out. And because man, Tony, see what you said needs to be said, and we just have to keep the delicate part of it in there, and that's I think that because that's the only way you're going to get things resolved. And let's face it, sure, I want to help our military and everything else, but I also want to help our cops. Our cops are dire danger here. I was a cop, for God's sakes, and I know a lot of great cops.
Yeah,
and I know a lot of assholes too. I mean, I know guys that were. I'm not going to go there, but But this is where it all starts, Tony, buddy. Thanks for taking the time with us.
Yeah,
and,
thanks, Tony.
Get out there and work on your farm now. It's a nice hot day today.
The time has come. I got to get out there and
there you go.
You know, pick
and
up.
I gotta go up and play with my grandkids now. What is the temperature down there? What's it like 90 today, or pretty hot down there?
It's the sun seemed to have gone in for a moment, but it's quite beautiful. I got to tell you, I've got a garden out here that I planted 109 tomato plants.
That's enough.
100%
That's a lot of tomato.
because we cook, you know. I make
Yeah.
I make the
Tomatoes,
sauce,
hey,
you
Italian.
know?
Come
Oh
on,
yeah,
man.
you gotta have the salt.
Exactly. Yep.
You're awesome, buddy. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks
All
for
right.
doing this, Tony.
God bless you
Appreciate
guys.
it. It's
Thank
good to
you.
meet you
All
on
right,
here
bud.
too.
Have a
Thanks,
good
bud.
one.
We'll send you the copy, Tony, so you can take a look at
Okay.
it.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, Tony. All right, guys. We'll see you guys then. Give me a holler later, and we'll talk about this. All right, Ryan.